Hey everyone, welcome to Car Review. Today we're going to review the movie Capone, so let's get into it. So Capone, more commonly known as Fonzo, is a movie directed by Josh Trank that follows the former drug lord, kingpin, gangster Al Capone throughout the last year of his life. And we actually get to see how he declines as a human, declines as this ruling gangster, and ultimately follow him into his death. And I'll start off by saying this. Josh Trank is a very unique filmmaker. He has made some really good movies. Most notably, probably his most popular and maybe even his best work is with the movie Chronicle, which follows these teenagers that get superpowers, and it's great. It's shot like it's found footage, kind of like Cloverfield. It's really good, so I recommend that. Then he went on and he made the movie Fantastic Four in 2015. And that movie was a steaming pile of just messy stuff. It was not shapingly together. It was not structured well, but that was not entirely his fault. The story, which you can go read, you can go find out, this is years old, is that Josh Trank made the Fantastic Four movie in 2015. It was for the studio Fox, and then before the movie got released, Fox, the studio, took Trank's edit of the film and edited it themselves and put that in theaters. Josh Trank has publicly said the version you can go out and you can rent, buy on DVD, or the version you even saw in theaters like I did back in 2015 is not his vision. It was tampered with, it was altered, and he got railroaded for all these comments for the quality of the movie. He was effectively put in director jail for a bit. He publicly bashed Fox the studio, and he was not getting any work done at all. He had stuff lined up with multiple studios, including Disney, who had him tapped to make a Boba Fett standalone movie. That was going to happen, and because of this Fantastic Four mess, it all went away. He went away for years. And, when you make a movie as good as Chronicle, and then are given something as huge as Fantastic Four, there's lots of things that come onto a person. There's pressure. The filmmaking is an art, but it's also a business. And when he got just destroyed publicly, privately, his career was up here and then it was taken down here, he went to isolation. And Josh Trank, who seems like a really nice dude, from what I've heard of him and from what I've heard him say, he has said that he wrote Capone while in this isolation. I think it started around the time he was making Fantastic Four, and then he finished it throughout the following years. And so he's had this in mind for years. And being this is his project he's coming back with, this is his first public outing sort of way for him to get back into the mindset of film goers. This is his newest movie. This is his comeback, his comeback anthem and stuff like that. It was a really good choice for him to do this. People like gangster movies, they like crime movies, and Tom Hardy, who plays Capone, people love Tom Hardy. He's a great actor. So he had the building blocks and the material to make a great movie, where he did not have that with Fantastic Four. The problem is that Capone, also known as Fonzo, I don't know how to really feel about this movie. I actually had to sit with it for a little bit before I got on and made this review. And that's because this movie is flat out weird. It is so weird to the point that it is almost not enjoyable. I don't even know if I found this movie entertaining, but it kept me glued to the screen. There are certain movies that are just kind of fundamentally strange. You look at something like, first thing that comes to mind is Blade Runner. Yeah, that's kind of a weird movie. It's kind of an artsy science fiction take on dystopian future. I personally do not like that movie, the old 1970s, 80s movie, but I love Blade Runner 2049. Just throwing that out there. But that has a great cult following. People adore that movie, even though I think it's weird. Whereas Capone It's so weird as Blade Runner, that unless it becomes a cult classic and has this following that carries it throughout the years and years, I think this movie could die away really quickly. Capone is not about, the bang bang shoot shoot of Al Capone. It shows his decline as a human, literally, in his health, in his mental health, in what he's able to do. And it's sad. This movie is sad. And I think I feel a little weird about that because Capone was a legitimate gangster. Okay, he ran the drug world for years, and he killed people, had people killed. He was a criminal, flat out. But Josh Trank, to his directing ability, made Capone a very human character. It turned him from this monster, from this madman, into a very human character. On that level, I get it, and I respect it, and I appreciate it. But it got so... he made him so human, so fragile, to the point where I was starting to feel bad for him. And again, he is a criminal, so I was kind of like, okay, I don't really want to feel sympathy for Capone, but they put him in in so many terrible situations that you just feel depressed. You feel depressed that you're watching these things happen, and you feel depressed that you're feeling depressed about it, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like you're mad that you're mad type thing, is the best way I could describe it. A little spoiler here, but this is just gonna encapsulate, I think, what this movie's kind of about with its portrayal of Capone, is that he starts to lose his mind. He has dementia, Alzheimer's, a stroke. He is just going through the ringer of health, and he's in old age. And at one point, he's laying in bed. It's bedtime. It's at night, and he craps the bed. Literally, his wife wakes up, and it's a disgusting scene where she gets up and she sees just this mess he left in the bed. And then the movie continues onward. It follows a scene about them getting adult diapers for Capone. Okay, that, to me, that does not sound entertaining. I did not know that was coming. I watched this movie because it was from Josh Trank. I watched this movie because it had Tom Hardy as the lead character. And that's a point I want to bring up, is that if this movie was not the return of Josh Trank, if this movie was not about Capone, if this movie was or did not include Tom Hardy, I don't think I would have watched it. I don't even know if I would have watched it if I even knew it was still about Capone. It wasn't the story that interested me. It was the people behind the story, the crew that made the movie, that made me want to watch it. Am I happy I watched it? Yes, I am. I wanted to see what Trank and Hardy could do with the character of Capone, but ultimately, I did not find it entertaining. I was just kind of like, when I was watching it, I felt like I was doing homework, because there are many times I ended up having to pause the movie and be like, what did I just see? And I also was checking, okay, I got about 35 minutes left. It wasn't, but every time I paused it, I was like, well, that was kind of interesting. I'm gonna keep going. But I went at it in increments. Not like I got up and like, did something else, but like I would just pause, and then be like, and then I would resume. But I never went away. But I never sat through it in just one concise sitting either. So it's very weird. And so to that, I guess I can give it credit for that, for its artistic vision. You could say it's a very weird movie. Despite that, I will talk about the things I like, because there are things I like about the movie. First and foremost, the cinematography, incredible. The way this movie looks is just amazing. I dare I say, Oscar caliber. I'm just going to throw that out there. Josh Trank, he directed, wrote, and edited this movie. He did not do the cinematography, but he did edit it. So the way it's just fundamentally structured and the way it's shot is really, really nice. It's something you immediately appreciate. I remember the first shot being really beautiful, and there are some gorgeous landscape shots. So on a technical level, very, very beautiful. And of course, another thing is Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is a freaking chameleon at this point. He played, Mad Max. He did Bane. He did this. I mean, this guy is just, he's legit. He knows the art. He has his craft, and he completely encapsulates himself in the character of Capone, to where you are convinced you're watching a different person. So his performance is incredible. Dare I say, also Oscar worthy. Capone, though, as a movie, it's different and it's weird. And this movie was released in a few theaters. It was gonna do a wider release, but then because of COVID-19, it ended up going strictly to streaming service. And I think that was the best thing that could have happened for it, because if this movie went to theaters, I don't think anybody would have saw it. I think it would have died immediately. Whereas now it's getting some traction. It's getting some traction on iTunes and all these other platforms. And I think it suits itself best there because the quality is something you would see in like a straight to DVD movie. And I really don't want to bash Josh Trank, and I don't want to bash this movie. I want Josh Trank to come back. I think he's a good director with a good, just passion for movie making. But where I wanted excellence for his return, I feel we got, dare I say, C- to a D+. On the entertainment level, it just wasn't for me. Maybe it'll be for you. I cannot recommend this movie. However, if you want something different, and if you are curious enough to check out Tom Hardy, check out Josh Trank, definitely rent this movie. I don't know if you should go out of your way, but if you're thinking about it, think about it, one more time, and do a little bit of research. Because I tell you what, when I went into this thing just knowing it was by Josh Trank, there were scenes in there that just, I was like, what am I watching here? I couldn't understand what he was getting at. And then after the fact, I did. It's just, it feels like this ball of clay, and you can make a lot of things with clay. And it's constantly forming itself into something, and then it ultimately just, it makes a structure, and then it never stays a structure. It always just kind of folds back in on itself. So Capone, as a movie, not entertaining, but it's just interesting enough to where if you give it a shot, I will not blame you. And this was a very weird movie for me to just kind of dissect again. I told you I had to take a few days on this one, but I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I'm getting to do a review on it, and I'm glad Josh Trank is back. Before we end the video, that is the end of my review, however, but before we end the video, I will say this, with coronavirus going around, our theaters are closed. Movies are not getting released. There are just a handful of theaters releasing movies around the country, but it's small. They're not doing any big releases. Car review is not going anywhere. I will always keep doing movie reviews. Naturally, there have not been many movies to review because theaters are closed. So I haven't put out many videos yet. But as movies continue to come out, I will definitely have a place to review them. Whether or not I start reviewing older movies, Netflix movies, Hulu movies like those originals, or if I do movies like Capone, which we're going to have a theatrical release and then went to VOD, because I love the theater experience. I love that. To me, nothing beats a movie in a movie theater. That's why I like to review movies that are just in theaters to promote awareness of them. I know you can get them anywhere now, but there's something about that theater experience that I want to keep intact for as long as possible. I want to take my kids to a movie theater someday. And so, car review was always about me reviewing movies right out of the theater so you can go to the theater and watch these movies. And I wasn't going to do streaming service movies or anything like that. With the circumstances, that might change. So know that I'm thinking about this. Car reviews will continue to come out, and I just got to decide on what format of movies I want to review and talk about. So please, stay safe out there. It will get better. At the time of this recording, this is in May. From everything I'm hearing, It sounds like July is going to be the time where America fully reopens its doors. Hopefully, the rest of the world follows with that and is able to follow with that. But again, stay safe. It will get better. Keep your head up, because at one point in the future, we will all go back to the movie theaters, and hopefully that is with Tenet from Christopher Nolan in July. But until then, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, comment, share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.